status of Max Meyer and whether he'll be the guy for you guys tomorrow night?
No, Max won't be pitching tomorrow night. He just got out of a walking boot over the weekend, and he's a ways away. He picked up a ball yesterday, and it's his landing foot, and it wasn't very good. Well, day by day here. Depends how long we stay in the tournament. Maybe over the long haul, there's a possibility. If you asked me to bet today, I'd say no. So we've also been without Sam Thorson, our second starter, the last 2 weekends, and we may get him back here. It's kind of day to day too. So we had to piece it together on the mound the last couple weekends, and hopefully we'll get some good news on Sam here. It's not an arm issue; it's a different injury. So we'll see what happens and go from there.
Would he be the guy if he's healthy, or would that be Patrick? Or
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Patrick Fredrickson will start tomorrow. Patrick was out for 5 weeks, and he's been back last 3 weekends, and kind of looks like the Patrick we saw last year. So hopefully he'll give us a good outing tomorrow.
Coach Anderson, what do you remember about that series with the Huskers earlier this year, and what stands out to you about Darren's team this year?
It was cold. I remember that, like every weekend in the league, it seems like. But it was a weekend. Obviously, they got outstanding starting pitching. The 3 seniors, if I'm not mistaken. And so what I remember is, I thought, the starting pitching of both teams was pretty strong and pretty even. We didn't pitch very well on Saturday, and they beat us around pretty good. And Sunday we won a game if I remember right, on a wild pitch in the last inning. So it was 2 of the games were very competitive, very close, pretty even series. So I think it could have gone either way in either direction, and I think there's some similarities to our 2 teams, and when we're healthy, I think we looked at our season as having strong starting pitching, but that's been affected by injuries and things that have happened here. So, outstanding team, well coached, and we'll have our hands full tomorrow night against them in this ballpark, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of red and white fans here. So, looking forward to the challenge.
Coach Bakich, Mark Snyder from Press Pros Magazine. Could you just, what do you remember most from that Ohio State series? If you had rallied a little bit more in the first game, you easily could have taken 2 out of 3. But what are your memories from that series?
It was heated and competitive, and I didn't think we played our best baseball the first 2 games. We didn't pitch our best, and didn't have a whole lot going on offensively as those first 2 games settled in, especially the second game against Lonsway. We had a lot of strikeouts, including a lot of backwards strikeouts. So I thought our guys, responded to that in Game 3, and that actually, ignited a little bit of a spark and a rally for us over the next few weeks. But I just thought that was an opportunity missed, and it was a very disappointing weekend. I remember that.
What about the overall state of your team coming into the tournament? Are you pleased where it's at right now, or because this league has been as balanced as anybody has seen it in a long time?
Yeah, we're obviously disappointed to, lose a championship on a half a game, but we had it in our control. We controlled our own destiny. We had to win a series in the final 2 weekends, and we lost both series. So now it's, that's over with and can't change the past. So our mindset quickly shifted to just looking forward instead of looking in the rearview mirror. So, our guys extremely disappointed coming into this, knowing that we didn't do as well as we should have done and could have done, but that's history now, and it's in the books, and we just got to move on and start playing good baseball down here.
For Rick and John, as the last 2 winners of this tournament here, I guess how would you describe the formula for success here, and how does it differ, maybe, if at all, from the regular season?
We'll start with Rick, yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to win. I mean, that's the simple answer, and you need to win the first 2-3 games, and that puts you in a good position. Stay out of the loser's bracket, and just play as well as you possibly can. There's nothing magical about it. I mean, you just need to play well and find a way to win at this point.
Yeah, from my experience here, I think number one, you got to pitch. You got to have some pitching depth. You got to pitch. You got to win 4 games if you don't get in the losers bracket. So I think you got a big challenge here in terms of from a pitching standpoint. It's obviously a facility, a playing surface, a field that there's a lot of space out there. There's a lot of room. So I think your ability to play defense, especially outfield defense in a big ballpark, becomes critical. And I think that what I've seen here is you got to be able to be able to catch the balls that you need to catch here and play some defense, and of course timely hitting. I mean, you're going to face some outstanding pitching in this league, and there'll be some outstanding pitching here. So being able to get a couple guys on and get a big hit or a big 2-out hit's really critical to try to impact the scoreboard and get on the positive side. So I don't know. I just felt like last year when we were here with our team, I think we played defense and pitched pretty well and got some timely hitting, and I think that's a key in any baseball game you play. But I think the facility has a factor here. It's a big stadium. I don't think the home run necessarily plays as much as it may play out in our league. We'll see. So I think it's your ability to minimize the freebies and play defense and be able to cover some territory out there in the outfield, I think becomes critical in my experience. So, I've just noticed in our league, and it's gradually over the last 5-6 years, the quality of pitching in our league, top to bottom, and bullpens, and the better arms in the league. I mean, look at the number of strikeouts are up across the country. In our league, strikeouts are up on offense, and I just think it's been because there's more good pitching. There's been an emphasis on pitching. There's more pitching coaches today, and there's more good arms, and everybody has more good arms, and so it becomes critical to try to stay in the game and compete on the mound and play defense, and hopefully you can get a big at bat at the right time.
Coach Anderson, Joshua Culver, a local kid. I know he's had his ups and downs a little bit this year, but what has he brought to the team? What does he bring to the team? What do you like about him?
Well, first and foremost, I think Joshua's worked extremely hard since he came to Minnesota. He's improved his body. He's improved his pitchability. Became our 3rd starter this year, and I think he's learning how to pitch and get quality Division I hitters out, and he's been able to establish a 3-pitch mix, and a very competitive young man, likes to be out there, loves to compete, and he's a hard worker. He's provided some leadership to our pitching staff, so I've been more than pleased. I think last year he got his feet wet, got a feel for what it was going to take, and we had worked it really, really hard from the end of last year through this year just to really improve himself as a player, and there's been some steady growth there. So I think he's on a pretty normal track for young players from the Midwest, and it takes a year or 2 to figure it out, and hopefully you can get a couple good years out of him. I think he's on that track. He's an outstanding young man. He's a good student, so he's been a joy to coach and have in our program.
This is just for everybody too, but given where the Big Ten is financially, from where it's been to where it is now, how have you seen maybe that affect your programs in terms of facilities, resources, finances? How has that maybe elevated your programs since you've been here, and how has that maybe elevated the play of baseball overall within the conference?
If we want to start with Rick and go down the line.
I mean, well, it's definitely changed a lot. When I was at Indiana State 7 years ago, it was starting to happen then, in my mind, as an outsider looking in with what Indiana had done with their facility and and then what Purdue had done with their facility, and you could just see the change in the commitment to baseball, and then what John's done for years up at Minnesota, and Ohio State already had a really nice facility, and everyone else jumped on board and has made significant improvements with their facilities, and the commitment to baseball has just continued to improve, and you see it each year. I've been in the league 6 years, and it just continues to improve. We have great players, great coaches, guys who are working really hard, to compete at the highest level, compete against the name schools, and you look at this season, and what we have 6, 7 teams at all times being mentioned as possible postseason teams. That wasn't going on 10 years ago, but it's definitely improved. It's helped our ability to recruit nationwide. Obviously, we all do a good job locally, but it gives us a chance anywhere we go. Big Ten Network, games on TV. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I think when you look at adding to that, Erik was here at Maryland before we got there 7 years ago, and just to see where that's come since I've been there for 7 years. We had a cage up over our outfield wall. We had grass in the outfield, turf in the infield, and since then, really everything's been replaced. And when Erik was there a couple weeks ago, we were talking about that a little bit, and just done a really nice job of creating an area where we can get games in regardless of weather, where you can recruit to, where you can do a lot of stuff like that. And I think, just echoing Rick, the thing that has impressed me the most in the league, and even though I've been at Maryland for a few years, really just being my second year as a head coach, is just the quality of the head coaches that are in this league, and coaches in general in this league. A lot of people that I really respect and look up to, and I think you can talk about facilities, you can talk about money, you can talk about all that, but it's really about the people and how they run their programs, and how they recruit, and how they treat people, and how they coach their players. And to me, that's what's allowed this league to really take the next step. There's a lot of men in this group that I really look up to, that I really learn a lot from, and I think you can talk about money and that stuff all you want. I think that's the reason you're really starting to see this league really continue to be elevated. You have people that have been here in the past that have done a great job, like Coach Anderson, who's won tons and tons of championships, and guys like me who are still trying to figure things out and learn the ropes a little bit. But I think the people in this league are what's allowing this thing to continue to move that right direction.
As well said. I would say, generally speaking, when you invest in something and there's a return on that investment, and we have, as a conference, the last few years, invested in facilities, invested in coaches, and those have paid dividends. Starting in 2015, when 5 teams went to the postseason, 53 players were drafted. That was a breakout year, a turning point for the Big Ten, and every year since then, it seems like we've done very well with postseason representation and drafted players, and those are all byproducts of investing in facilities and people. And I think as a conference, administratively, and everyone, we need to be proactive and keep pushing this thing forward, and not be reactive and wait, but keep going and continue to stay at the forefront and be a pioneer and a driver of making college baseball even better. And so when things come up that we can continue to make the sport better, we have to be on the forefront and do that.
I'm not sure there's a lot I can add to what's been said here. I could agree with everybody's thoughts on where the league is at. I think probably being in the league the longest, it's amazing to me to see the growth in this league from when I started in 1982 till now. And I've been in the Big Ten Conference and been at Minnesota since the fall of '74. So there's been a lot of changes. I've been amazed at the level of commitment. And I would agree with Rob. I think the people, the coaches in this league, and their ability to teach and recruit and put quality teams on the field, from head coaches to assistant coaches, has been impressive. And I think there has been an investment in people, no question about it, and the leadership that these guys bring to their program. So, I'm kind of the old guy hanging on here and trying to keep up with the young guys in the room here. But it's been interesting for me. It's been some get some interesting perspective to watch the growth, to see the new people come along and make this league better from top to bottom. There's no easy weekends anymore. Everybody's got somebody, and you got to be at the top of your game every weekend. And if you're not, someone's going to run you off the highway. So it keeps you on your toes. And I think if we could change anything, I think everybody agree in this league we'd like to change the weather. But that's always going to be one of our challenges. I think this league doesn't get the credit it deserves nationally because we have to play so many road games the first 4 to 6 weekends of the year, and it impacts our RPI as a league. I think it impacts our how people view us from a national perspective. But and then we're not going to be able to change that, so we just got to keep trying to find ways to deal with that part of it. But I think this league, I don't think there's anybody in America that wants to play a team from the Big Ten in the NCAA tournament because I think they know they're going to get a quality opponent. And we're all at different spots, we're all different geography, we all have different weather to some degree, who can play at home earlier, who can't. And so I think we've all tried to, what I viewed anyway, and looking around the league, everybody's trying to take the resources that they have and decide what makes the most sense for me, based on where I'm located, to invest that money to make our program competitive in this league and on a national basis. And, we're not going to build a 10,000 seat stadium in Minnesota because of the weather, and we don't play enough home games there. We have a Siebert Field on campus. Other than this year, we play at US Bank Stadium. We have an indoor facility. We built a performance center, and we try to put our money into player development because we just don't play that many home games in our college facility. We tried to make it so it's competitive. We can host a regional there, and it helps us in player development. But I think that's what I've noticed. Everybody's kind of taking their resources and look at their own individual situation in terms of where they're located on the map, and try to put those resources in places that will make this league better and their teams better. And I agree with Erik. I think just look at the trend that we're on here in terms of the quality of player in this league and program. And so it's a battle. I think we've followed some of the other sports in this league, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, some of the different sports. It's just very, very competitive week in and week out, and it's made it fun. At the same time, it's added some gray hair.
Any other coaches for this group? Any other questions for this group of coaches? Great. Thanks, guys. Good luck.